What do you think was the rabbit hole or the addictive nature? Because it was a system that you were going to, through journalism, bring down, but yet it was captivating enough to really draw you in. Like on the surface, there's the partying, there's the lifestyle, like, and that comes with the money and the culture they've set up. But what are the essence you think that really captivate not just you, but a lot of other people as well, not just in finance, but in modern day capitalistic society?
It's a great question. It's exactly that. It's the same thing that pulled me into that rabbit hole that is pulling pretty much 99% of the world's population right now into shopping malls, into eBay, into Amazon, into going to the local bar if they can get to a bar during COVID. But this natural pull towards finding the most rapid experience of fulfillment. So the analogy I like to use to explain this is that cows know naturally to eat grass. However, if we put a big sugar block in the middle of a paddock and we just left it there, before long, even though the cows know what's inherently right for them and know what's good for them, they'll move towards something more pleasurable, even though they might detect possibly that it might not be good for them. Whether they do or don't, they'll still go for the sugar block and they'll be licking that thing all day long because it just is good. It tastes so good and we want pleasure. We want as fast as pleasure as possible. And so this is what drives us to, we've developed a society now where we can access pleasure so rapidly. If you go back 1,000 years, 100 years, you'll see pleasure and charm and enjoyment wasn't on hand like it is today. You know, we can get turmeric chai lattes and we can scroll through Instagram and we can go and order something online. We can get Uber Eats to our house. We get pleasure so readily and it comes at a big price. And if you look at the tribal cultures, the spiritual practice cultures, if you look at the religious backgrounds, where they willingly forego pleasure in the short term for something deeper and more sustainable, then we find deeper levels of happiness in those cultures. But for me, in that industry particularly, it was just on tap all day long. And the universe is really good at letting us know if we're not seeking pleasure in a sustainable place. It does that time and time again if we're distracted, and the universe is very good at reminding us things.
What are some of the examples of the ancient cultures where they forego some of the immediate pleasure?
Yeah, it's a great question. So in the Christian, I was brought up Catholic, so in Catholic tradition we have Lent, where we would forego things for 40 days before Easter. But even then, you know, beyond Lent, we have things like on a Sunday morning, we would go to church and we would forego a big bacon and egg breakfast with the family watching TV and go to Mass. Or on certain days, you would not eat not eat meat, you'd have fish. Then in other traditions, you have Ramadan, you have Yom Kippur. In the Vedic or Hindu practices, we have a thing called tapas. And tapas is this diligent and disciplined process of willingly foregoing pleasure to have a deeper connection to God. Tribal cultures, you'll see a lot of traditions where they will willingly surrender some sort of a pleasurable experience to recognize and deepen their connection to the universe, to nature, to higher self, to God. They'll have different names for it. But in our society, what we see is an incredible correlation between those practices that have that discipline and that willingness. Even meditation is a tapas. It's a willingness to forego my sensory pleasures to go within and connect to my higher self or God, or stillness and silence. So that's again another discipline. But when we correlate the traditions where there's a willingness to forego pleasure, we see greater levels of calmness, happiness, and deeper connection. When we see the cultures where there's zero willingness to do that, and we just see this constant satiation of sensory pleasure, we see incredible off-the-chart levels of unhappiness, anxiety, depression, ADHD, dependency on pharmaceutical drugs. It's incredible to see those correlations.